Maxx and the Mountain of Books. Maxx was a cat who knew the importance of a good box. To anyone else, the box sitting in the corner of the living room was just cardboard, with a black and white checkered pattern. It used to hold groceries. But to Maxx, it was his fortress. It was his castle. Maxx lay inside his box, his paws tucked neatly underneath his chest. He looked different from the other cats in the neighborhood. On the very top of his head, Maxx had a scar, a little patch where the fur didn't grow quite right. Because of that old hurt, his ears didn't stand up pointy and tall like triangles. Instead, they were folded down flat against his head, as if he were always wearing a cozy hat. Some people thought he looked sad because of his ears, but Maxx wasn't sad. He was a survivor. He was brave. But even brave cats have days where they feel small. Today was one of those days. It was late afternoon, the time of day when the sun turns the color of melted butter. Maxx looked up. Way, way up. Above the comfy armchair, above the heavy wooden table, there was a high shelf near the window. And on that shelf was the golden spot, a perfect square of warm sunshine. Maxx wanted to be in that sunbeam more than anything. He wanted to feel the warmth on his fur. He crawled out of his checkered box and stretched his legs. I can do this, he thought. Maxx crouched low. He wiggled his bottom. He stared at the high shelf. 1, 2, 3. Jump. Maxx sprang into the air. He reached out with his paws, but he didn't go high enough. His claws scrambled against the wall. Scritch, scratch, and he slid back down to the floor with a heavy thump. He landed right on his bottom. It wasn't graceful. It was clumsy. Maxx looked around quickly to see if anyone had watched him fall. The room was empty, but he still felt his face get hot. He looked at the high shelf. It seemed higher than before. I can't do it, Maxx thought. He touched the top of his head with his paw, feeling the scar and his folded ears. Maybe I'm just not built for climbing anymore. Maybe I should just stay in my box on the floor. He slunk back toward his checkered box, his tail dragging on the ground. It was safe in the box. You couldn't fall if you were already on the ground. But as he sat in the shadows of his box, he looked back at that golden spot on the shelf. The sun was moving. If he didn't get up there soon, the warmth would be gone. Maxx thought about his scar. He remembered the day he got hurt a long time ago. It had been scary, and it had hurt a lot. But he had healed. He had kept going. He had learned that just because something is hard, it doesn't mean you stop living. I am Maxx, he whispered to himself. And I don't give up. He walked back to the wall. He knew he couldn't jump straight up like a kitten. His legs were a little older, a little stiffer. So he had to use his brain. If I can't jump straight up, Maxx thought, I will climb around. Maxx looked at the room like a puzzle. He saw the dining room chair. It was lower than the shelf. He saw the table. It was higher than the chair. He saw a stack of big, heavy books on the table. They looked like stairs. Maxx took a deep breath. Step 1. The chair. Maxx leaped onto the seat of the chair. It wobbled a little, but Maxx lowered his body and held on tight with his claws until it stopped shaking. Good, he thought. Step 2. The table. This was a bigger jump. Maxx meowed softly to pump himself up. He sprang from the chair to the table. He landed on the slippery wood, and his paws started to slide. He almost slipped off the edge. Whoa! Maxx dug his claws into the tablecloth and pulled himself back to the center. His heart was thumping in his chest like a drum. Thump, 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 thump. He wanted to quit. It was scary, but he looked up. The golden spot was closer now. Step 3. The Mountain of Books. The books were slippery, but they led right to the shelf. Maxx stepped carefully. 1 paw. 2 paws. He moved slowly, focusing on every step. He didn't rush. Perseverance isn't about going fast. It's about not stopping. He reached the top of the book stack. He was nose to nose with the high shelf. He gave one last, gentle hop. He landed softly on the shelf. He had made it. Maxx walked into the center of the golden spot. The sunshine was warm and wonderful. It felt like a heavy, cozy blanket wrapped around his shoulders. He lay down, tucking his paws under his chest, closing his eyes. He twitched his folded ears. He felt proud. Not because he was the highest cat in the room, but because he had fallen down, felt scared, and decided to try again anyway. Down on the floor, his checkered box looked very small. Maxx purred, a deep, rumbly sound that vibrated through the shelf. He knew that when the sun went down, he would go back to his box. But for now, he was Maxx the mountain climber, the cat who kept trying.